I knew you would return, brother.
Come out of the shadows, damn you!
You and I, we are not that different. I do what I must to protect my kind. We fight only for our right to live.
That's a lie!
One day, perhaps, you will understand.
Shit.
Forgive me, Grayson. This is not the outcome I sought.
Oh, fuck, 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 fuck. Why tell him to do that?
Why now, brother?
Ah, shit. Damn it. Damn it, damn it, damn it! I keep fucking it up. That's a little destructive, don't you think? I don't know why I'm having such a hard time reacting. Fuck you, Lucan, I'm getting that knife.
I've lived too long to not know this day would come.
Why, Alistair? You have forced us outside all these years.
I've seen things I am condemned to remember. Civilizations born and destroyed by humanity's incessant greed. The pride of men slaughtering each other in the name of their so-called God.
We will atone for our sins in time. But how can you justify the atrocities your kind have committed?
My kind are no more evil than yours.
What of your sister? Your father? Was it all a lie?
Izzy, my father. I loved them as my own blood. But they cannot begin to know the curse I have lived with.
My son.
Father, forgive me.
It is I who needs your forgiveness. I never meant this life for you.
You knew.
I've always known. I rescued him from the massacre of his family. Your father died by my sword. But a child? You didn't deserve such a fate. How could I have taken the life of an innocent?
Confess this to the Council, Lord Chancellor. It is the only way to make amends for the havoc that has been unleashed.
I cannot! The revelation would shake our order to its very foundations.
So I am to be sacrificed. How many more must die to ensure an eternal silence?
He is my son. I cannot be the one to end his life. And the Council must never discover the truth, lest all you hold dear perish.
Do not.
Sir Galahad, the whole of London is looking for you. We mustn't delay. Sir Galahad, can you hear me? Sir Galahad.
Be at ease, Nicola. All is fine.
So you say, my friend. The Council has declared martial law throughout the city. There is no telling when the authorities will decide to mount an offensive. Now is not the time for heroics. I would advise we follow Lady Lakshmi's lead and leave the city.
I'll join you shortly. And don't you know, I'm Galahad, no more.
All right, so that was the Order 1886. All right, so I have a few things I want to talk about with this game. For one, I feel as though this game's story. Well, okay, you know what? Actually, I'm not even going to get to that yet. I'm gonna cover the initial thing that I was planning on, and that has to do with this sort of opinion that a lot of people are seeming to have about this game and how it's a movie and it's not actually a game. And I think there's a little bit of credence to that statement, but really, actually, I think there's quite a bit of credence to that statement because there's probably like 50% gameplay and 50% cutscenes. And my biggest problem with it is that it's so like clustered. Like cutscenes will go like 20 minutes long, and it's just like, dude, holy shit. Like I get that you're trying to make like this quote unquote cinematic experience or whatever the fuck, but this is too much, you know? I mean, Metal Gear Solid 4 suffered from that a lot too. It's just like this constant cutscenes that run way too long, and it would serve best if they would kind of, as opposed to kind of clustering them the way they did, is making the game longer and kind of, you know, separating them out a little bit more, kind of segregating them, you know, to, you know, more minimized time frames. Just even 5 minutes or so for a cutscene, I think is going a little long, but they legitimately, like, there were 20-minute long cutscenes where there was no action, no gameplay, and that's crazy. I mean, that's really, really out there. So I'm going to go ahead and address something that I think that a lot of people already are aware of, but I'd still like to talk about it. This whole, like, cinematic experience nonsense is just that. It's nonsense. Like, let's all be honest. It's the excuse that developers are making for consoles because they recognize that, you know, the hardware is just flat out not capable of producing the graphical fidelity that everybody's expecting. A lot of console and I'm not one of these people that's like PC master race and all that shit. I prefer PC, but that's just because it's objectively better hardware. It's just, you can't argue that. It just is. That's not to say that I'm better than you. I'm just saying that that's just reality. But yeah, so I think that a lot of console users are expecting their games to look like, you know, Crysis 3 and shit like that. Or not just Crysis 3, but, you know, that kind of, like, precedent, that benchmark for graphics. And it's just, sadly, consoles even now are not capable of performing that well. They're not capable of matching PCs because, look, the hardware of a PS3, you know, was like about, I'd say, mid-level, maybe above average for that time frame. So 6 years down the road, if you still have a PS3, you're working with really inferior hardware. You know, whereas with a PC user, they can just consistently swap out hardware over and over. So they're always having, you know, they're always able to handle the best graphics possible for gaming as long as they have the money. I'm kind of going a little bit out there, but my point is that developers are trying to match the expectations that console users have, but the fact of the matter is that they just can't do it. So they have to do things like the Order 1886, where they limited the frame rate to 30 FPS. Again, you know, and that's, you can argue cinematic experience all you want, but that's just not the case. It's just, you can't do 60 FPS and have this kind of graphical fidelity at the same time. You've got to cut one of them. So, you know, 30 FPS is the way to go. Console users are used to 30 FPS, so that's just how it is. Additionally, they decided to do the whole, you know, letterbox thing, which The Evil Within did something very similar. The difference is the Evil Within didn't look anywhere near as good as anywhere near as good as this. But look, like the whole letterbox thing, it doesn't bother me per se, but just, you know, be honest about it. The reality is that the console just can't handle that sort of, you know, graphics for the full screen. You got to take away what, like 25% less of the pixels? I think it's something to that extent. So, you know, just be honest with the consumer. But, you know, that's not going to happen because, you know, this is a Sony made, or, you know, Sony published this game. They were the backers of it. Red Dawn is a Sony developing company, if I'm not mistaken. So they're not going to say, look, the PlayStation isn't strong enough to be able to handle what we're making, because that would piss off their bosses. So, yeah. Anyway, that's just kind of my whole spiel on the, you know, cinematic experience nonsense that's been going on. That having been said, I actually did enjoy this game. I actually did. A lot of people are saying it's a piece of shit, and honestly, stop being a fucking child. Like, seriously. Like, it's not a bad game. It really isn't. But people, like, don't like it when they hear 6 hours, and stuff like that. Now, for the price, I will absolutely agree. It should not be $60. That is fucking ridiculous. I would give it maybe a $30, $20 price tag. That's about what I would give it. The gameplay itself was fun. I enjoyed the weapons that there were. There weren't actually that many special weapons. There was the arc gun, there was the detonator, which I actually don't think I used, but, still. And then there was the thermal gun. The thermal gun was pretty cool. I thought it was interesting, but when it came right down to it, the arc gun was the one I really enjoyed. I thought that was fucking awesome. I loved using it. But at the same time, you got to be, strategically sound. You can't be busting that out all the time, because what if you come across a shotgunner, But anyway, that's besides the point. I enjoyed the gameplay itself. It was a little bit clunky, I will admit. I did feel like I was kind of being hindered at times with my movement. It felt very Last of Us-esque, that sort of gameplay style, except even more so clunky, I would venture to say. Now, when it comes to the story, throughout the entire game, I actually did enjoy pretty much all of it. I really did. And I actually, if you write down on paper the storyline, it's actually pretty damn solid. Obviously, they left open a lot for a sequel, and I'm fine with the sequel as long as it's more than 6 hours if they're going to charge $60 fucking dollars. But let's be honest, at the rate that, developing companies and publishing companies are going, they're going to milk gamers for every fucking dollar that they have. The last hour of it, I would say, the pacing is so much different from the rest of it, because there was a very good, solid build-up throughout, I felt like. It was introducing characters and concepts gradually, to the point that it didn't feel at any point, for the first 5 or 6 hours, it didn't feel rushed to me. Introducing, the people in your little group between Igraine and Lafayette and the original Percival and Galahad, introducing these characters consecutively, introducing the Order and the Chancellor, who's a prick, by the way, fuck that guy, and introducing Lucan, having all these people come in and throwing in little hints at Jack the Ripper and Whitechapel. This stuff was all gradual. It was all pretty well told through the story, which tells me that they did have an initial vision that, had they been able to expand on it the way I think that the developing company was hoping to, this could have been a fucking really good game. But Lord Hastings being a vampire, that entire storyline, that's all, I think, being saved up for the next game, which at this point I can't even be certain they're going to make it, just from the public opinion of what they've produced at this point. But yeah, for this story, introducing Lucan as the werewolf was fine. But then they started talking about, with the boss fight itself, and you being, arrested and all that. I was under the impression that it's, after the arrest, there would probably be another hour and a half, maybe 2 hours left of the game, but there was only 30 minutes left after that point. It was crazy, how little left of the game there was. But yeah, killing off Lucan and all that is fine with me. I don't mind it per se. But bringing in the Chancellor and just that entire final scene just felt so muddied and cluttered and full of things that should have taken much longer to expand upon. But it's they're all right, fuck it, just put all that stuff together on the last page. We'll nobody will care. It felt like that this was a game that was supposed to take 10 to 12 hours that was condensed to 6 to 8 hours. Just saying. But I'm kind of regurgitating the same shit over and over, so I'm gonna go ahead and knock that off. I think that's about it. I think that this was definitely an interesting game. It was fun to do commentary on. I did actually a lot more commentary than I was initially expecting to do. I thought there was going to be a lot more like The Walking Dead, and it wasn't, which, for a Let's Player's sake, not necessarily for a gameplay standpoint, but for a Let's Player, I do appreciate that I was able to kind of put my own spin on it, as opposed to, Telltale games where it's you're kind of just sitting there for a really long time. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the series. I'll be sure to get something together for another game very soon. And yeah, so if you enjoyed the video, please be sure to like and subscribe and all that. And I'll see you guys next time.